If my screen is visible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So good morning, everyone. Last time we had discussed about basics of wireless and how the history associated with this and different pan, man, when, etc. That network. So just a little bit revision of that, and then we'll start with the challenges and issues with that. So as we know, based on how much area it covers, basically we divide the wireless networks into uh, wireless body area network, then wireless personal area network, then wireless local area network, wireless metropolitan area network, and wireless wide area network. So as we know that the wireless body area network, the range is very less, around hardly 2 meters. Then when we are talking about the PAN network, personal area network, it is about 10 meters. Then LAN 100 to 200 meter we can say. Then we are talking about the MEN network. It's around 10 kilometer to 15 kilometer you can consider. And WWAN, which is nothing but the wide area network, has the around 35 kilometers the range. GPRS and GSM etc. are comes under this only. Now, this whatever range I had mentioned here is not the specific one. A little bit here and there distance can be considered. Okay. Now, last time what we had discussed the architecture, simple architecture of band, PAN, LAN, MAN, and WAN network. Today we'll see some problems associated with the wireless communication. So basically, whenever we are talking about the wireless communication, some problems like shared media, increased bit error rate, or low radio transmission power, scattering, reflection, diffraction, multipath propagation, fading, path loss, etc. are always there. So one by one, a little bit we will discuss about every problem. So when we are talking about the share media, we know that wireless offers lower bandwidth in spite of so many technologies we are having, but it supports Mbps speed only. So we can say we need to see the effective utilization of bandwidth for proper wireless network. When we are talking about the screen increased bit error rate, we can say whenever we are talking about the wireless network, it's more prone to the errors due to optical, because we are talking about the free space. So because of the optical from transmitter and the receiver, we can say the interference due to neighboring transmitters and all. So because of that frequency disconnection, normally it's happened when we are talking about that wireless network. Our networks is keep going and coming. So due to that, we are losing the data, and especially sometimes we had seen that video and audio, that communication when we are going with, so that disturbance in the audio signal or maximum in the video signal when we are talking about. So video signal is taking place, so sometimes delay, sometimes few of that will not appear. That means that data loss is taking place. When we are talking about the transmission power, so we know that mobile units are compact in size. So always means maximum whenever we are talking about the mobile unit, they work on battery. So when we are talking about the energy sources and all, mobile nodes limits transmission power to avoid the interference. So signal, and we know that whenever we are talking about the signal strength, it decreases when we increase the distance, or we can say it decreases with inverse square of the distance. So when we are talking about the higher frequency, but obvious attenuation and all increases, due to that we need to see the range of the communication because it decreases. When we are talking about the scattering, we know that scattering, that means whenever that wave travels with means whenever our wave will travel has objects with I mean it's small compared to the wavelength, whenever the dimension of the objects are small as compared to the wavelength, and we can say the when the object number of objects are more, scattering takes place. Okay, now it is necessary that the whenever we are designing the radio network, we need to deploy different methods to minimize this scattering effect, because due to that also our data is lost. So where we need to place the antenna so that the minimum scattering will be taking place, we need to see. The other one is nothing but the reflection. So we know that whenever a radio wave propagates or when it propagates, it strikes an object which is very large in dimension compared to the wavelength, then this reflection will taking place. Mostly like buildings, furnitures, bigger that walls and all. Due to all these things, reflection is taking place. Similarly, when we are talking about the diffraction, we know that whenever radio wave means takes a path from transmitter to receiver, different optical on the surface like irregularities, etc. Whenever it is there, then diffraction of wave is taking place. All these things you had studied in the previous semester. Just I'm pointing out some points which causes the main problem in wireless communication. So due to that also that problems arises. Multipath propagation due to diffraction, etc. We know that my wave will reach to the receiver through different paths, and because of that also that signal strength means whatever signal reaches to the antenna, which it depends on the different path lengths that exist in the multipath field. So based on that, either constructive or destructive that reception will be taking place. Now another one is your fading. So fading, we can say it's degrade the bit error rate performance of a digital communication system, resulting in a data loss. Due to that also, we data loss will be taking place. Now, when we want to prevent this loss, we need to understand the nature of the multipath fading phenomena, and we need to see how we can overcome this phenomena so that lesser fading will be taking place. As we know that small scale fading is there, large scale fading is there. So one is based on the means large we can say the as my that weather is changing. If suppose I'm talking about the weather, so one is the change in a small time period, what is change taking place. Other one is related with a in a period of time, how that weather and all is taking place. Due to that fading takes place in the communication. So we need to see all this problem when we are designing the wireless communication network. The other one is nothing but the path loss. So path loss is nothing but whenever we are considering the wave propagation, transmit from transmitter to the receiver, we know that due to so many factors that signal strength decreases. One factor is the distance, other one we can say this depends on that reflection, diffraction, all these things, phenomena, say ultimately it plays a role on like to increase the path loss. and when this path loss increases, but obvious our signal means received signal strength will not be the good one. So when designing a wireless network, we expect to see the level of path loss based on the range between the transmitter and receiver, which provides the valuable information when determining the requirements of the transmit power level, receiver sensitivity, and the signal to noise ratio. So all these things we need to take care. The other one is RF signal interference. So here we know that whenever we are talking about the whenever that signal is transmitting to the receiving this thing through radio or the laser, whenever it goes through the air, that interference and all is taking place, due to that again that signal loss will be taking place. So whenever we are designing the wireless communication network, we need to take care of the RF signal also, that the effect of this we need to see. Now the other one is how this wireless network reference model. Okay, so reference model, we normally whenever we reference model, nothing but it's a layer data architecture, we can say. It developed to allow the reliable data transfer from between the different computers system, or between the different networks, we can say. So initial, we have the 7-layer international standard organization ISO based open system interconnect. It is nothing but OSI reference model. Okay, this one is the first one which was proposed in around 1983 to allow the connectivity between the different computer systems. Now, prior to that OSI reference model, computer system made by one manufacturer will not be able to communicate easily with the other vendors. Okay, so there is a problem between how to communicate between the two, we can say the system, or between two different networks. So the intent of a OSI reference model, we can say, to allow the computer system to successfully communicate with each other, even though different vendors, manufacturers are there. So this one is nothing but the, we can say, the reference model. So the first one you can see, this one is nothing but the OSI model, which is nothing but consists with 7 layers: application, presentation, session, transport, network, data link, physical. 7 layers are there. The work, the that we can say the purpose of each and every layer already you had studied in the previous semesters. Here we'll see the similarity and dissimilarities of different models. Okay, the other model which we are having is TCP IP model. So here this one consists of mainly 4 layers: application, transport, network, host to network. So here host to network is nothing but the combination of data link and physical layer. Okay, and the combination of that, if suppose we are talking about, so basically we need the this 5 layer network, which is nothing but the application, transport network, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and the physical layer. So when we see the similarities between these two, OSI and TCP/IP network, both the network is having the application layer, you can see, transport layer, and the network layer. Okay, here in this network, presentation and session layer are not there, separate. This one is not there. And the another one is that here in OSI network we have the data link and the physical layers, the lower level layer, which is nothing but combined here, and this one is host to network layer. So here MAC and all like sub layers are used for this lower level, we can say, the architecture. Okay, so these are nothing but what we had just now discussed. Both model has the application, transport, and network internet layer. The TCP/IP model does not have the session layer, the fifth and the sixth one presentation layer of OSI reference model, and but both model have the lower layers that connect the upper layers to the actual physical networks. In OSI reference model, lower layer is called the physical layer. In the TCP/IP model, the lower layer was called the host to network layer. Or we can see in the present days, we use this combination of layer 2 sublayer called the medium access MAC sublayer, as I just mentioned, along with the layer 1 to provide the connectivity over the wireless link. So just quickly we'll see the role of each and every layer and then we'll move further. So the first one, the top layer is nothing but application layer. So the application is, we can say, used for, this one is used for end user program run. Some of the end user programs, we can say the remote login, mail transfer, file transfer, network management, and web browsing, etc. The second one is transport layer function. The transport layer job is to provide the reliable communication from application to application. That means between two end users, regardless the lower layer protocols and the communication link. The transport layer encapsulates data from the application layer and passes it down to the network layer. The third one is network layer function. So here the network layer, it offers the often perform the routing of the packets and internet networking of two or more networks. So packet routing typically goes from intermediate network to intermediate network before the packets finally arrive at their destination network. So how these packets and all will be, means which path it will take and all will be the function of the network layer function. Now the lower layer is the data link layer, and the function of that is to provide the logical link control sublayer and the max. These two layers are there as sublayer. LLC, which is nothing but the logical link control, and the MAC sublayer. They normally perform a wide variety of functions, including the segmentation of the bit stream into frames, error handling, flow control, and access control. This one is MAC is also responsible for accessing and sharing the wireless channels and reliable delivery of delivery by acknowledgement and all. So whenever we want this thing, whatever acknowledgement and all we are getting is nothing but due to data link layer. The lower level, the most lower level is nothing but the physical layer, and this layer transports encapsulate data from the data link layer and transmit it wirelessly to the distance network. The wireless features and functionality takes place in this layer. Okay, so these are nothing but the functions of different layer. Already I think you had studied this one in CNN, but just to brushing up is required a little bit for this subject. When we are talking about the wireless networking issues, so we know that the challenges of a wireless network is to overcome the harsh reality of wireless transmission and to provide mobility and multimedia that services. So there are different issues are there, like traffic and resource allocation, how to allocate that this thing, how to control the flow, how to control the error, related with the security and privacy, related with the mobility, and how to that hands off and all is taking place, routing, how which path is means should be used for routing purpose, quality of service management. We can say the radio access, which type of access is used for the same, channel allocation, whether the dynamic one or the random channel allocation or something else, how to manage the power, how to manage the pricing, and how to control the degree of the subscriber over service profile. Just a little bit in brief, we can say traffic and the resource allocation. So we know that each accepted connection has a certain traffic control, and that describes the traffic type and the resource requirement. So a slot scheduler is responsible to assign the slot in a transmission frame according to the various traffic contract. Now, at the same time, it must attain a high utilization of the slab radio bandwidth and minimize the energy consumption of the mobile device. So we need to see this one. When we are talking about the flow control, it is related with that how buffering and all is taking place, and how we how that packets are reached to the receiver. So whenever we are talking about a connection between transmitter and receiver, it involves buffering at several places of the path between the sender and the receiver, as I mentioned. Based on traffic type requirement concerning delay and implementation restrictions of the buffer capacity. All these things normally limit the amount of buffer space available to the connection. Due to the dynamic character of wireless networks and user mobility, the stream of data might be hindered on the way from the source to the destination. So the flow control mechanism is very much required, not only to prevent the buffer overflow, but also to discard packets that have exceeded, we can say, the allowable transfer time. So whatever means normally we have seen that whenever we are talking about the transmission of packets, so we'll wait up to some fixed time. If in between that time, if packet is received, then packet will be considered. Otherwise, that packet is discarded. So likewise, flow control mechanism is required for reliable transmission. The other one is error control. As we know that whenever my packets is taking place the free space path, it corrupted during the transmission. So if that corruption rate exceeds the allowable pocket loss rate, which is means bit error rate, whatever we are considering, if it exceeds the allowable packet loss rate of the connection, then an effective and efficient error control scheme must be implemented to handle such situation. Otherwise, it will also create a issue. We have a different connections. We have different types of connection, and we know that different connection requires the different type of requirement of concerning packet loss rate, etc. So for the packet delay. So that's why different error control scheme also required for this purpose. So we need the different error control schemes to take care of this error control. Security and privacy, as you know, this one is very important when we are talking about the wireless network, and this should be taking we should take care of the security and privacy of the network. Otherwise, this one is, we can say, the biggest issue when we are talking about the wireless network. So we need to see that how we can provide the secure communication. Otherwise, that data can be taken by the any of the, we can say, the this thing. It we the thief can uh, take our data and can misuse it. Mobility is another concern, we can say, when we are talking about the wireless networking. So how to take the handovers and all, we need to see when my network is that device is moving from one network to other network. So we know that whenever that handovers procedure taking place, we need to see that call should not be disconnected while it moving from one that cell to other cell. So this also we need to take care. Routing, as already I mentioned, multi-hop wireless network without any infrastructure poses bigger challenge in computing proper and efficient routes for source to destination. So this is mainly due to node mobility, that is network topology frequently changes leading to unstable and improper routes, we can say. And so because of that, the dynamic routing protocols are to be designed to take care of the dynamic network configuration of the wireless network. Reachability and path minimization, we can say these are the two important features of the routing. So first thing, that packet should reach to the proper destination, and the second one, we can say that whenever that means whenever we are talking about the transmission, that minimum path it should follow the minimum path that route. So these two things are very important when we are talking about the wireless networking designing. The other one is nothing but the channel allocation scheme. So we have the channel allocation scheme. Here we have the fixed channel allocation, where that fixed number of carriers are there, and in spite of what is the traffic and all, a fixed channel is given for the communication, we can say. Other one is called the dynamic channel allocation scheme. Here it behaves dynamically to actual radio link and traffic needs, like whenever that's just a check where the traffic is less, and based on that it will take the different that route. Basically, two algorithms are there for that. One is the regulated dynamic channel scheme. Other one is segregation of the dynamic this channel allocation scheme. And the other one more type of channel allocation scheme is there, called the random allocation scheme. Here the wireless nodes randomly try to access the broadcast channel whenever they have a data to send, and thus get the channel allocation to them. But this scheme works well if there are light load. If that load increases, then that data collision and all is taking place. Due to that, we can say this data loss and all is taking place. So we need to see also what kind of channel allocation schemes we are using. Wireless networking standards. So we have like whatever problem we are facing it. So based on that, and also to design a proper we can say the networking system, we have the different wireless networking standards. So this is nothing but a table of that. So here, if suppose I'm talking about the different technologies like Bluetooth, for example, which is nothing but the IEEE 802.15. So this Bluetooth technology works on 2 to 4 gigahertz in between that. Bit error rate, mostly when we are talking about Bluetooth technology, having 1 to 2 Mbps, max to max. Signal range already as this comes under 10 meter, इससे ज़्यादा नहीं होता है आपका Bluetooth का range. Then modulation techniques, if we are talking about Gaussian MSK, GMSK is used for the same, and application mostly this Bluetooth is nothing but related with peer-to-peer communication. Okay, the second one is ultra wide band the technology. So here that IEEE 802.15.3, this is nothing but the standard for this technology. Here the frequency range is 4 or 8 to 10 gigahertz. These two bands are there. Bit rate, when we are talking about 480 Mbps is the bit rate for the same. Range is also that Bluetooth, that ultra wide band or Zigbee. तीनों का ही range is around 10 meter only. Here when we are talking about ultraviolet band, then here modulation, OFDM modulation is taking place, and mostly this one is used for health monitoring purpose. Zigbee also, it's that standard is IEEE 802.15.4. Frequency range almost same as Bluetooth. Here bit rate is about 250 kbps. Range, as I just mentioned, 10 meter Bluetooth, and all three devices that range is the 10 meter approx. Here also that modulation scheme, your OQPSK scheme is there, and mostly this one is also used for this control and automation and this purpose. Now the other one is used for wireless LAN network. So here we have different standards. IEEE 802.11a or IEEE 802.11b or IEEE 802.11g or IEEE 802.11n. So now see here, whenever that IEEE 802.15 is there, basically we are dealing with a personal area network. Here all the technologies you can see, Bluetooth, that ultra wideband technology or Zigbee, all three are related with your personal area network, and that range, based on range, basically this one is standardized. So here the range is around 10 meter for the same. Similarly, when we are talking about this IEEE 802.11, now A, B, G, N and all just keep aside for the time being. So whenever I'm saying IEEE 8.2.11, it is related with wireless LAN. Okay, so whenever I'm saying it's related with wireless LAN, that means the range will be up to like 10, that 100 meter or heart to heart 200 meters. Sometimes we can go with that. Okay, so based on that only these different standards are there. Similarly, when I say it is IEEE 802.16, so 16 is nothing but for the MEN, wireless MEN, metropolitan area network. So here 1616A, D, E, all these are nothing but the, we can say the subdivision under this 802.16. So here again you can see that whatever that length and all that area range coverage is there, it is around to 10 meter. Here this one is 100 meter, here it is 10 meter, then around 100 to 200 meter, and here it's around the 10 kilometer. So now when I'm moving from one this thing to other, the standard, based on whether PAN area or LAN, it is designed for the PAN area or the LAN area or the MEN area, this ranges changes. Okay. Now, so where we were, we are in somewhere here, IEEE 802.11a. The frequency range for this one is around 5 gigahertz. 54 Mbps is the bit rate here. 100 meter for the outdoor application, 30 meter for the indoor application. So now based on that, we have that modulation scheme for this OFDM, BPSK, QPSK, 16 QAM or 64 QAM. All these are nothing but the modulation scheme for this standard, and the application, as I just mentioned, wireless LAN applications are there. Similarly, when I'm talking about IEEE 802.11b, here the frequency range is 2 to 4 gigahertz. 11 Mbps is the, we can say, the bit rate. For the outdoor application, range will be 110 meter. For indoor application, around 35 to 40 meter, we can see the range. And here the modulation scheme is BPSK, QPSK, 64 QAM and CK. Now, when I'm talking about IEEE 8.2.11g, all these standards we'll study in detail. Just here, I'm just differentiating all this based on the frequency band or bit rate or the signal range, modulation and application. We'll see what is there, how all these standards works and all in detail in further lectures. Now here this one IEEE 802.11g, here the frequency went 2 to 4, 54 Mbps as I just mentioned. Outdoor, whenever I'm saying, around 110 meter, indoor 35 meter is the range for the same. These are nothing but the modulation scheme, and here the use of that is will basically use for the military applications like high energy radars and all. Okay. Now IEEE 802.11 and here also that frequency range is the 2 gigahertz or 4 to 5 gigahertz. 150 Mbps is the bit rate. This is nothing but the range, 160 meter for the outdoor, 70 meter for the indoor. Here modulation MIMO system is used for the same, and this one application is again the wireless LAN. तो जहाँ पे भी आपका 802.11 है application, simply you can consider it will use for LAN. Whenever 802.15 hai, it will use for PAN. Now in that 15, whether that 0.3 is there, then this one UWB. If 0.4 is there, that it will be Zigbee or something like that. Okay, these are nothing but the standard for a particular technology. Similarly, for MAN, IEEE 802.16 is there. Here my frequency band is more than this, 10 to 66 gigahertz is there. Bit rate is 134 Mbps. The range is around up to 5 kilometers. These are nothing but the modulation scheme for the same and the application. Similarly, in this different that is sub groups are there. So IEEE 8.2.16a 2 to 11 gigahertz is the frequency range, 75 Mbps is the bit rate, 10 kilometer is the range, and these are nothing but the that modulation technique. So likewise, all these are nothing but the networking standards for the this thing, for the wireless networking. So we'll see these all these things in detail in further lectures. Okay. Any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay.